What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk. Look, I was over here preparing for another amazing episode, but look, I need you guys to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell so that you guys don't miss any of our amazing conversations. Have a new episode coming to you in 5, 4, 3, 2.
What's going on, everybody? It's Q Jackson, host of BLK Talk, and I'm back with another amazing conversation and another amazing guest. Today's guest, guys, is Brent L. Don't forget the L. Smith. This man is a creative director. He is a choreographer and movement director.
Yes.
Okay, now we're gonna talk about that because I want to know what that is. So first, let's go ahead and welcome Brent to BLK Talk. Thank Brent L. Smith to BLK Talk. Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So we were just having a conversation a little minute ago, and it was 2011 that we connected on social media.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we're mixed up, like 13 years. Damn, that is a long time. 13 years later, we finally get the opportunity to interact. I've seen things on social media, so now we get the chance to actually talk about it. So the first thing I want to know, movement director.
Yes.
What is a movement director?
Well, a movement director is someone who, and it's very similar to a choreographer, but that's not the specific title that the movement director gets.
Okay.
Movement director is a person who is basically giving direction, whether it be on stage, whether it be on a set for a film or TV show. A movement director also is more in direct with the actors or actresses for that specific project. Yeah.
So it's not a director.
So it's not a director. It's not
a choreographer.
But it is definitely similar to a choreographer. But they just have different titles. Because it doesn't require, that particular project may not have required actual choreography.
Okay.
But it required movement. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to see this in action to get a full picture of
so
what
you'll find movement directors on set sometimes. You'll find movement directors on like a musical stage a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the project and what they're wanting and what you are doing for that project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to choreography, creative direction,
yes.
the world of dance,
yes.
How did you get your start in that?
Oh, wow. I started dancing. First, I started at home.
Mm-hmm.
I was that person. I was that kid. Like at 8, I would be at home on my VHS tape, recording music videos.
Yes.
Recording videos. And even when I would not be home, I would have videos recording on VHS. And I would always record like Janet, Michael Jackson, and Paula Abdul. And I would literally come back, watch those videos, and learn all the choreography. I would be in the living room, taking over the living room, learning all that choreography and doing it all day.
Wow.
Literally.
On the VHS. See,
on
now,
VHS
those
tape.
are some real entertainers. So you had to have an incredible passion for that to watch those people.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm telling you guys this here now. I actually used to do that too.
See?
But I didn't record anything though. My favorite thing to do was to like copy old moves from like artists from like back in the day.
Yeah.
So when the Temptations came out in '98, like my sister actually got me the VHS that Christmas because she knew that was my favorite movie. Like my parents could hear. Our house was like 4 stories or something like that, and my bedroom was upstairs, like above the kitchen.
Yeah.
And my parents could hear me up in there stomping. I guess I had a heavy foot, but I'm out there busting out all those Temptations moves.
Yeah.
And to this day, you know, I think I still got it. You know, and I gained an appreciation not only for the music, but the business and the art and the creativity that goes into it.
Okay, that's amazing.
But you have made that a career. You have made that a lifestyle.
I did.
So, and you said at the age of 8, like you've always been that child.
I have.
So was
And I
it?
just kind of pushed from there. And I don't even think I don't think at the beginning my parents even realized like that that was a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of like one day I literally don't even know when it happened. I was just sitting one day. I was like, I really like this. I can do this. And in my head, I knew I could do it. And what's crazy is I would pick it up so quickly. That was actually the best part, is that I picked up choreography very fast.
Mm.
And once I realized that, like, I knew I was doing it right, but I had nobody in there to validate me because they knew nothing about this.
So when did your family like jump on board and say, okay, I see that this is something that you are going to do and we support you, and how can we help you to move forward?
Honestly, I think it really started when I was a freshman in high school.
Okay.
Was that my freshman? Yes, it was my freshman year. Um, I created an entire show, um, pretty much based. I choreographed and directed an entire show while I was a
Freshman year in high school.
Wow. And I casted some dancers. Some of them were my cousins who could dance. Some of them were people that they knew. Um, so everything was kind of like put together. And I remember being like, oh, I'm going to do this show. And I remember talking to my parents about it, not knowing what kind of reaction I was going to get. And they were just kind of like, what do you need? And I was like, okay. And legit, like we made our own costumes, and my dad and my mom, like, they helped. I wanted this whole city feel, and it was at the Magnolia Park in Kirbyville, Texas. And I remember being like, Kirbyville, yes. And I remember like being like, I want this like skyscraper city in the background. How could I make that happen? And let me tell you, like, they had at the Magnolia Park, it's like a stage, and then there's these this like, it was like a rail at the time. It was like a rail. I'm not sure how it is now. I haven't been there in a long time. Well, at the park, and there's this rail, and you just kind of go down. So I was like, oh, we're gonna use this rail. We're gonna put my skyscraper up here. Let me tell you how we were in there, my dad and me, and we were out in there cutting out cardboard, making my city out of cardboard. Then we were sticking lights all the way around it to give the city effect of lights. And we call
I need to
ourselves.
see this.
We called ourselves going to the Magnolia Park and putting staples and things, different things in those boards. Let me tell you how they shut us down. They were like, absolutely not. You can't do that. This is, you know. So I had to, last minute, I had to change up my whole entire idea. And I did. And guess what? It still worked.
Now, this is what I want to know. Like, we hear a lot of stories of people who are passionate about a lot of things, but they don't have the support of their families. Even when they get to a place where other people are now supporting them, sometimes they still don't have the support of their family members. That story that you just told, yeah. I mean, yeah, y'all got shut down, but it was an experience that you got to share with your father. Even if that show never went on, y'all could sit back and talk about how y'all got shut down by the people, how y'all created a city together. You know, like, that is an amazing thing to hear. Like, and most Black boys don't get that from their fathers. And that's something that you have and you can cherish. Like, how does that feel, like, looking back at that?
You know, honestly, I never actually sat and thought about that moment until I just told you this story. Like, actually sat and thought about that moment. And that's pretty amazing. Yeah, you're not going to do that to me.
No, I mean, my eyes got a little misty over here, too. Like, yeah, that is special. That is something amazing.
We just had the 4th year anniversary of his death, literally on the 2nd. So, July 2nd. So, yeah. So it's like, but that is a great memory. You just brought that to my attention. I never sat and really thought about that moment until this moment.
And that's crazy, though, because we just go through life looking for the next moment and the next opportunity, and we don't actually sit there and appreciate, like, the special moments that help to make us or change us or whatever. So tell us about your childhood growing up. Like, how what were your influences? What were the things that you enjoyed doing in life that you feel, got you to the point where you were a creative person?
Um, that's interesting. Because honestly, the beginning of my childhood was just a lot of me being outside, playing with my cousins. I had cousins that lived like right up the road from me, and we would all ride bikes all the time.
Oh
And
God, don't you miss
just
that? Kids don't do that anymore,
yes.
but that's another story for another
we
day.
lived outside.
Just come in before the street lights
Sometimes,
came on.
I had to be. Oh my God, let me tell you how I would be right up the road. It would probably be about if you're walking, it would probably be about 10 minutes.
Mhm.
If you're riding a bike or something, you could probably do it in 4 or 5 minutes. That's how far the cousins were from me. But we were all on the same road, right? I literally remember times where I would be at their house or they would be at my house. And we would hear the street light come on. Like, you hear it makes that buzz sound.
It's our buzz, yeah. It's a click and then a buzz, yes.
We would literally gotta go. Take off. We had to be in the house before that light went bright.
Yeah. Yep. I remember that. That's a memory that a lot of people who were raised in the 90s, 2000s, whatever, that we still appreciate to this day.
Seriously. And it was pitch dark out there. Let me tell you, it wasn't a lot of street lights. You had one by the houses, but that road had not one light.
So in Kirbyville, Texas.
Well, Kirbyville, Texas is, now where I'm from originally is considered Kirbyville.
Okay.
The address is. Originally, it was Magnolia Springs, and we still consider it Magnolia Springs.
Okay, and that is how far from what
literally
major city?
a 10-minute drive from Kirbyville. But it's only school district. That's the school district I went to was in Kirbyville, Texas.
Okay.
So I always say Kirbyville because that's what everybody knows it as now. And since they changed the addresses now, it's all considered Kirbyville, but we still consider it Magnolia Springs.
So you were saying earlier that it's 2 hours from Houston?
It's about 2.5 hours from Houston.
What else? I know there's Houston, Dallas.
There's
Austin.
Houston, then there's Beaumont.
I've heard of that.
Beaumont, Texas. And then you have a lot of small towns in between that. Like Silsbee and Lumberton and Buna and Kirbyville. And then on the other side of Kirbyville is Jasper.
I heard of that one too.
Yeah, so they're it's like a line of them,
Now, how often do you go back and visit?
As much as I can. I'll actually be going this weekend.
You need to go ahead and slide by the park.
I literally leave tomorrow.
Oh.
So I'll be in Texas for 2 weeks. So of course, my mom's is the first place I'm going to.
Okay.
So I'm going to Kirbyville, Magnet Springs, Kirbyville, for sure. Don't know if I'm gonna make it by the park.
I mean, you're gonna be there for 2 weeks.
Well, I won't be there. I'll be mostly in Houston.
Okay.
I'll be there working, and also my niece's wedding is coming. It's gonna be happening while I'm down there as well, so I'm gonna go to her wedding.
Oh, good.
It kind of worked out. The timing was great. So yeah, but I'll definitely be going to see my mom first, and some of my aunts and my elders.
Would you ever bring any performances to Kirbyville or Magnolia Springs area, that part of Texas that is home for you?
I won't say I would not do that. I just don't know. Personally, I don't know where I would do that.
Okay.
There's not a lot of places in that area that really have what we would need to do that, to be honest. They have schools and things like that, but even the schools, their auditoriums and things like that would not be sustainable to have it. It would not work. I don't know. I'm not saying that I would not. I think if I had the support to do that there and the space, I would do it.
Okay.
But in this current moment, I don't know how that would look.
Anything is possible.
That is true.
All right.
I'm definitely not against it.
Okay.
I know a lot of people there, so I'm not against it. I just have not even thought about doing it. To be honest, I hadn't even a thought.
Now, it has, for me, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I've been what's today? Wow, Sunday it'll be 17 years that I've been here.
Oh, wow.
Jesus. That makes me old. Anywho, like I've thought about going back to do things. I actually have done things. Like I don't know what it is. Like I always want to somehow feel connected to home.
Yeah.
You know, with my life now, I want to connect it with who I was then. So, but let's go back to your freshman in middle school. Excuse me. The performance that you're putting on. You got shut down.
Well, we didn't get shut down as a performance. We just got shut down on the idea that we were planning to do.
Oh, okay.
So we still
still
had the performance. You know, and it was pretty cool. I had a lot of people from my school that came. A lot of my family came, extended family. It was pretty amazing, you know. And in that moment, I was very nervous because, you know, I grew up in a small town. I grew up in a place where a lot of people feel like boys don't dance. A lot of people feel like, you know, it's football and God. That's it. That's Texas, football and God. It's like, it's nothing else, you know. And there were times in my life where I played everything. Yeah. I played football before. I played basketball before. I ran track, which was actually one of my favorites. I was in the band. I played saxophone. I was in choir. I was in everything.
The man does it all.
There were times that I've done everything. I did it all. And it was just like, I even tried tennis. You know, it wasn't I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something, it was short lived.
So you get out there and play today. You know what you would be.
No. It was very short lived.
Okay. I got you.
Now, but don't get me wrong. Like, I've played since I've been an adult. I've went and played because I have friends who play it all the time.
Right.
So they talk me into going out. And it's actually what I realized about tennis is it's a great workout.
I keep hearing that.
It's a great workout.
I've not gotten out there to do it, but you know, I've heard that before.
Workout, if nothing else.
So let's talk about what you mentioned, being a black boy in dance. Being a 13, 14, 15-year-old, you know, putting on like your first show and then having to deal with, you know, people always talk. People always have something to say. Unfortunately, negative about anything great that you do in your life. Yeah. So being a young black boy who was interested in something other than what people wanted you to be interested in, like what are some of the things that you heard, and how did you get to a place where what you were hearing did not matter because your passion was so much greater?
Honestly, I feel like things that I've heard. One of the biggest words, it's not the biggest word for me, but it's one of the biggest words that I genuinely hate, is sissy.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard somebody say that about me because I danced when I was young. You know what I mean? And that, it was such a trigger for me now. Like, that word is triggering. I don't want to hear that word. Like, just because I'm doing something it doesn't mean anything outside of what I'm doing. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what I love to do. Regardless of anything else, nothing else even matters in that moment because this is what I enjoy doing. So I'm getting called these words because that's what I love to do, right? That was like in my younger days. But to be honest with you, after I did that show, I never heard anything again. It was literally like before that. I don't know if it was because I was older then and people just knew my clapback was strong.
You got a spicy mouth.
Yeah, and like they might have knew like, okay, I'm not gonna even go there with him because
I ain't trying to get cussed out today.
Like it could have been that. It could have been, I don't know, but I kid you not, like that was that moment. That was that time. And something else that happened like that time frame was I got it. I read up because I wasn't living in Houston. I was living in Magnolia Springs. I heard about an audition that was happening in Houston, and this is my freshman year as well. Well, coming out of my freshman year, going into my senior year. I mean, sophomore year. Coming out of my freshman, going into my sophomore. I can't talk today. And I was like, I'm gonna go to this audition. And the school was called Planet. It's an academy, professional dance school called Planet Funk Dance Academy in Houston, Texas. And they're no longer open, sadly, but they were a professional dance company. They toured. They did everything. So I was like, I'm gonna go and audition. I want to go audition. So then I gotta ask my parents, they're gonna take me to Houston. So I can audition. And I'm trying to remember, I can't remember off the top of my head right now who took me to that audition. I don't remember if it was one of them or one of my siblings. I feel like it was my parents that took me to that audition. Because it was like the second semester of my freshman year. And I went to that audition, and long story short, I got picked. Now, mind you, they didn't have a lot of younger people in their professional dance company, like the adult company. And I got picked. And I remember it being an interesting thing because I was like one of the youngest people to have been picked for the company ever at that time. And and it became a big thing. And I remember Miss Coach Barbe. She was a cheerleading coach at the high school. Coach Barbe. She's a sweet lady. She found out about it because I had also choreographed a couple of the cheerleading dance routines. I choreographed a couple of hip hop numbers for them. 1-2 Step by Sierra was the first one. Never forget it. 1-2 Step by Sierra. That was like the first one, I think. And she found out about the audition that I made it, and it became a big thing. It was in the paper. I was like front page.
Y'all still got the paper?
I don't know if I still have it. I might have an old copy of my mom's, but it was in the school for a while. It was in the school on the wall.
Wow.
I don't know if it's still there. It's probably not. They've had so many changes, but for the longest, it was at the high school on the wall. And it became a whole thing. So that's kind of when I felt like, oh wow, everybody's really more accepting of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Got into this company. Was driving to Houston. My parents, I commend them to the fullest. You hear me? Because for that first almost year, they drove me to Houston 3 days a week after school.
2 hours away?
2.5 hours away. 3 days a week.
Wow.
And the crazy part about it was I would leave school at like 3-something, rush to Houston to be there on time for like rehearsals at sort of like 7-something. And then be in rehearsal till like 10 sometimes, then drive back, get home at like midnight or almost 1 a.m.
Wow.
And then get up for school the next morning for 6-something because my bus was I was the first pickup time on the bus, and I was the last to get home on the bus. So that's why for the longest that wasn't gonna work. So my parents was like, we gotta get you your license. Yeah. Cause you're gonna start doing this. So eventually I started driving myself. Once I got my license and all that stuff. And but yeah, that was the thing. And I remember the one performance that I had to do. The performance was at an adult nightclub, right? Mm-hmm. With the company. And one of the dance choreographers and mentors at the time, her name was Tasia Truitt. Tasia, she was amazing. And I remember having to, I think her current boyfriend at that time, he owned the club. But it was a huge club. It was like 2 or 3 stories. I remember going and getting to perform and having to spend the night over there with Tasia. And I remember the performance being really cool and really dope. And then right after the performance, it was like, yeah, you got to stay up here because you can't go back down there. Thought I was going to be around everybody? Absolutely not.
You can't enjoy this adult
activity. They shut me down so quick. So, yeah, she was like, yeah, your parents are not going to kill me. So, but it was some great memories for sure. And I danced with them for a couple of years. I didn't dance with them my senior year. I was really focused on like trying to decide what I wanted to do because a lot of people was not sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to go play for a marching band or if I was going to go dance. And those were really my choices for me.
So you accomplished a lot before you graduated high school. Then you get to the point where graduation's here. What is the next step for you? What did you ultimately decide to do?
I ultimately decided to go and pursue a dance career. And I've been asked many times, do I often regret that? And I genuinely don't. The only thing I regret is about that situation is I feel like I'm never going to get, I don't want to say never, but one thing in my head I've always wanted, and I've dreamed about this is why I know this is something that's supposed to happen, is I've always wanted to direct an orchestra. Even if it's just one time.
Yeah.
I want to direct an orchestra. Because even growing up as a kid, that's something I saw myself doing.
Put it out there.
So
speak it.
And like in school, like from middle school to through high school, I had one of the best band teachers, Mr. Anderson, Jason Anderson, and he was also a saxophone player. And that guy, like, I give him a lot of credit for making me as good as I was on saxophone. Even though I knew, and I think he kind of knew too, that I had a natural ear for music. I had a natural ear. And I was super passionate about it. And I still am today. Like I just love to hear people play. It's like, oh man. And it makes me miss it. But I don't have any regrets of my decision. So once I graduated high school, I moved here to Atlanta. I mean, like 2 days later. Like I graduated that Friday. I think I was gone that Monday.
Oh wow, you were playing.
Yeah, I was gone. And like I had already had a lineup of things like planned, like when I got here. So well, I actually went to Warner Robins first, Georgia. I went to Warner Robins, Georgia first, and I was there. And then I taught for a dance studio there. And I also kind of started my own dance troupe. And that was an amazing experience. I worked, got getting to see a lot of those kids grow up, and now they're all grown and married, and and eventually I wasn't there a long time, but eventually I moved to Houston. I mean, to Atlanta, here to Atlanta. And yeah, everything kind of soared from there.
So what was that one big opportunity? Like you've always been consistent, it seems. So when you got to Atlanta, what was that like first big opportunity that you got that was just like, wow, this is real?
The first big opportunity I got, oh, that's such a good question. I'm trying to figure out which one was first. Because I was still living there. I ended up having to move because I was having to come to Atlanta so much. That's why I couldn't stay there. And I moved here. What was I doing at that time? I want to say I was doing AADR at that time, which was the African American Dance Review. It was a show that was at the Rialto Theater. I did it a couple seasons. But I think then is when I kind of knew, okay, I can do this. I had done stuff before that, plenty of things, but I think then is when I met some lifelong people in my life. Like I met some of the best people on that cast. A lot of them, though we don't see each other often or talk as often, but when we do talk, it's like we have so many memories together now because of the relationships that were built during that process. And those relationships that helped me in the long run because of the networking that I made with them, I book things because of my relationships with them as well. Like, and they book things as well because of their relationships with me. And I think those relationships were important at that time. I didn't realize that then, but I know it now as an adult. Like,
so
as an older person.
When you guys do get together, like I know when a lot of singers get together, they just sit around and just start randomly singing their conversations. Like, do y'all like get together and just hit little dance routines?
Some of us do. Some of us like sometimes I have certain ones we'll get together here and there and we'll be like, yeah, let's do a little, some steps or something, and then the others will just be like, nah, we gonna live in that moment because our bones ain't moving the same, like so. And everybody's getting older, so most of us are just teaching now and choreographing or creative directing more than anything. Some of us are still performing and some of us are not. We're in the creative process, because the older you get, those bones stay otherwise.
Yeah.
Everything hurts easier.
See, that's why you gotta drink your milk.
The recovery time is long. And that's wild because I can't drink milk like that no more. As a kid, I could drink glasses of milk like it was nothing. And now as an adult, it's like, no.
See, I don't know what it is. A lot of us now, like actual dairy milk, people don't drink anymore.
I can't do it.
Coconut, almond.
No. I can do almond. Oat.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. That's been the common thing lately.
I can't do it.
So out of all of the performances that you've done, like what are some of your top 5 favorites and why? What have you learned about yourself throughout those different top 5?
A couple of them I'd rather not mention.
Okay, we don't have to.
Okay. But some of the ones, like I said, I will mention. Like I mentioned before, just this one particularly because of the relationships that it made was the African American Dance Review. And shout out to Tina Fears for that. And also, I would say a project that I did with Debbie Allen.
Ooh, I love her.
And which was probably one of the hardest projects I've ever had to do because Debbie don't play. Debbie is very much cutthroat in the process. She's gonna cut you. She's gonna be cutthroat with you, and then she's gonna love on you. You're gonna get that balance.
Yeah.
But you gonna know she's not playing, and she has that expectation. I danced in. I did a couple episodes of the TV show Vampire Diaries that I danced in years ago. Shout out to Jamie Parrish for that. And Jason Lopez for booking that. He was my agent at the time. And oh man, there's so much. There's so much. One of my recent projects is in that top 5. That was working with Fight Night. And that show, I believe this comes out it's a limited series, but I believe it comes out in September.
That's the one that's like set in the 70s or something like that. With it's a lot of big names in there.
Samuel Jackson, Don Cheadle, Taraji P. Henson, Kevin Hart, Terrence Howard.
Wow.
Chloe Bailey.
I can't wait.
Lori Harvey. And,
Oh.
It's quite a few names in there.
So being on set with like all of those amazing people, like was there anything that you were able to learn or take away or observe?
Let me tell you something. Working on a project with Samuel Jackson has taught me one thing. Don't take nobody's shit. He's not taking nothing from nobody. And when he is over it, he over it. That's the only thing I can tell you. That's all I can say.
I mean, well, when you've been in the game for 40 years and you've put out so much.
Yeah, but it's valid stuff. It's valid. It wasn't no unnecessary. Everything was like, y'all get it together so we can get this done. And I felt that, like, genuinely. But yeah, that's it. That's it for that. But they were all sweet, very nice people. Taraji was super nice. Samuel was cool, and Juan Rico as well is in there.
That man is going to always work.
Yeah, he was in there. I had a brief conversation with him. He was really really nice guy, and yeah, so that was cool. It was a cool project to work on. I did work on that for quite a bit, and I've recently been working. Well, right now I've been working with the TV show Found. And that's been a pretty cool experience too. Shanola Hampton is amazing. She is amazing. To me, that's probably one of the funnest sets I've worked on. Like, though other sets I've worked on have been pretty cool, this is probably one of the funnest sets because to me, everybody is respectful. Like, I haven't run into no issues with anybody from crew to directors, ADs, anybody. Everybody's respectful. Even when it's time to get something done, it's done in the most respectful way. Like,
and you don't often hear things
that
like
often.
that.
So I'm very appreciative for all of that. Like with the TV show Found, genuinely. Like,
so for you, as you look back on, your decades of work, your decades of achievements and struggles and heartaches and pains and happiness and excitement and all of that good stuff. What is the one thing that you feel like you're most thankful for throughout your journey?
To be alive.
Mm, that's it.
To be alive. Listen, in the process of my career as in my 20s, in my mid 20s, I had a very life threatening condition.
Mm-hmm.
My kidneys failed.
Mm.
And kid you not, um, I just thought about something. I think I said, um, it was actually my dad's. I'm just piggybacking. It's actually been 3 years since my dad passed, not 4. But it's been 4 years since I got my transplant for my kidney. I got it in 2020, and June 23rd made 4 years. But I was on dialysis for like 6 years.
Wow.
Yes. And a lot of people didn't even know.
So you
And
were still able to.
I was still working. I was
Wow.
still performing. Still, some people knew. Like the people I worked with, I let them know, like just in case. Like, anything. This is what I'm going through. This is what is going on in my life. But a lot of people didn't know I was going through anything until I got my transplant, and then I posted.
So when it comes to something like that, how important do you feel it is to go through those certain struggles privately, but then when you get out of it and you've survived it, share it with other people?
One of the reasons why, and I'm actually glad you asked that, one of the reasons why I feel like it's important later to come out and share those stories is because it's so many people who are going through kidney failure and dialysis who do not want to live anymore, who want to give up. Because I was that person. So I know. I was sitting there and have conversations with people in that clinic who just was over it. Like, some of them just did not, they don't feel like they have anything else to be here for because of what they're going through. Because it's hard. That is not easy. There is nothing about that that's easy. Like, nothing. I remember getting up, having to be in that chair for 5 a.m., being in that chair for being in that chair for like 3.5, 4 hours each time, 3 days a week. Leaving there, and at that time I was also, when I first started, I was a school teacher too. So I would leave there, go to the school, teach people kids all day. I know y'all kids bad. Teach their kids all day. And then I would leave their kids. Then I would go to the studio and teach dance classes. I would finish about 9 o'clock at night. And I was doing it like rotation. And people genuinely didn't know nothing was going on. I remember when I was one of the schools I taught at, one of the first schools I taught at, the principal never even knew.
Wow.
A couple of the coworkers knew because we had those conversations, but the principal never even knew.
But
ever.
6 years, you.
And then the other school, they knew. Most of them knew, but it was just like I didn't want that to be. At that time, I did not want that to be something that I felt like people were gonna like make it. I didn't want people to make excuses for me
And feel pity.
Yeah, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, so a long time I didn't tell nobody anything. I didn't say anything. Most of the people knew who worked with me or danced with me because I would leave dialysis and then I would go and perform. But when I get there, I would still have I would still have my patches on my arm from just coming out of treatment, and it was just like, oh no, I just love dialysis, like it's nothing, and then go perform in the show.
So even now, learning that part about you, in addition to everything else that you have done, like that is some motivating stuff, because when you're passionate about something, and when you have a purpose in life, it's like nothing is gonna stop you from getting to that place. And for like those people out there that may want to give up, may not know what it is they want to do in life, or how they're going to continue despite the struggles that they're going through, what is something that you told yourself that got you through those moments that you could share?
I told myself that nobody's going to do it for me. Nobody's going to be able to go through those treatments for me. Nobody's going to be able to get to that clinic for me. Nobody's going to be able to go to those rehearsals for me. do those shows for me, teach those classes for me. I have to do it.
Mm.
And if I don't do it, I don't feel like without, to be honest with you, without dance, I don't feel like I would still be here. Because that's what helped motivate me.
That's what got you up every morning.
So, and I knew that that was my way out. Or should I say my way through?
Mm-hmm. Now, when you think of the legacy that you are creating and the legacy that you want to leave, what does that look like?
My legacy that I want to leave, I have this saying, I always say it's come alive, creativity lives. And I say that because you always have to come out of something to continue doing something.
Mm.
And that's actually a part of my company, my dance company, Groundwork. That's a part of, I love all this, Groundwork, come alive, creativity lives.
I love it. So let the people know if they are interested in, everything that it is you have going on. If they want to book you, if they want to be choreographed, if they need to get their kids into some lessons or something like that, how can people connect with you?
Well, it's easy. My Instagram is Brent L Smith or BLS Alive. You can reach me there easily. I always respond. And if you're in Houston and interested in being a part of a dance company, my company is Groundwork Dance Company. And if you go to my page on Instagram, it's also connected in the bio. And I'm also in charge of Burlesque Houston. So that's a thing too. So if you are interested in dancing or interested in private lessons, if you have a child that is interested in private lessons as well, I do teach private lessons. And if I'm not able to do it, I have a team of people who can.
Yes,
so yes, we would love to hear from you. We love the people.
So in addition to Fight Night, that'll be coming out later on in the year, what are some of the other things that people can look forward to you working on?
Let's be clear. Everything I'm working on, I'm not actually in. I'm not the movement director for. So I want to be clear about that.
My name will be in those credits.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we're looking for. But Fight Night, Found. You might catch me in Found too. You might, as well as movement director. But anyway, can't talk about that. But oh man, I have a list. I need to look at. Fight Night, Found. Oh, She the People. That's a Tyler Perry project.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on. I feel like I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's filming now.
Okay, Tyler Perry. And look, everything else that he may have not shared with you guys.
There is
check the social media.
Racetrack commercial that I was a movement director for. It hasn't came out yet, but we did it about a month or so ago. A couple months ago. There's quite a few things.
But you're out here working.
They're gonna be popping out, slowly. And I'm slowly kind of releasing things as they come out.
And make sure you guys are following him in order to be encouraged and you can support the things that he has going on. And I appreciate you so much for coming on today, sharing your story.
Absolutely.
I've learned things about him in the last 13 years of social media that I've never known.
Yeah.
So now I respect the journey even more because I've learned some of the things that it took to get you to the place that you are. And I appreciate people who overcome in order to achieve. So, I definitely wish you much more success. I hope that you continue to not only inspire yourself, but inspire the next generation of movement directors, creative directors, dancers, choreographers, everything. And like I said, I wish you much success.
I appreciate you. And thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys follow him on social media at
BLS Alive or Brent L Smith.
Don't forget the L. And thank you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to Be Okay Talk. And we'll be back soon with another amazing conversation.
Hey, Mom.